What's up guys, Jimmy here, and today I want to talk about the recent announcement from Capcom that the Alex release on March 17th is going to include a balance patch for Street Fighter 6. Now, this announcement is quite interesting because it comes at an interesting time. Capcom so far has never released a big balance patch for Street Fighter 6 right after Capcom Cup, but this is apparently the first time they're going to do something like that. Now, the problem with the announcement is it's not really clear how much is changed, and so far whenever Capcom has announced there's going to be a balance update, they could really mean a lot of different things. Capcom has been increasing the frequency of the patches like slightly in the last couple of months, but for the most part they've been pretty disappointing changes like bug fixes only or very minor adjustments, nothing really that big. Considering we're now almost 3 years into the game, or let's say 2.5 years, but we're approaching like the 3-year mark, and so far the game has not seen any mechanical changes. The game hasn't even seen what I would consider a drastic shift in the meta or the strong characters. I feel like the game overall, a lot of people are just disappointed that there's not much difference between the release version of the game that was released in 2023 and the version that we're currently playing. Now, just a few weeks ago, the producer and director of Street Fighter 6, Matsumoto and Nakayama, they have commented on the state of the current patches and the release cycles and everything, and they have said that changes should be made because people are unhappy. Capcom is now officially recognizing that the community is unhappy about the current state, and apparently they're wanting to do something about that. Now, the problem with the statement is that we saw something similar like in 2024 when the first bigger patch for Street Fighter 6 was released. There was a similar sentiment that they're going to be adjusting the release cycle. There's not going to be a single update that is going to shift the meta once a year, because at that point we're basically used to once a year a big patch is coming along and nothing else. And they have said that they want to make more frequent adjustments, and it made it seem like the updates are going to be, well, more significant as a result. If you're not just like once per year giving us a balance patch, but instead you're spreading it out over the year, the hope was that those balance patches are going to add up and significantly change the game in a meaningful way. But that actually didn't end up happening at all. Like, those minor adjustments that they were adding were really just minor adjustments, and most of the time just bug fixes anyways. So even back then in 2024, Capcom made similar statements and they didn't really become reality. Now, one thing that got me really interested in this X post from Street Fighter about the balance patch on March 17th is this detail about Alex and the demo version that they're going to be showing at various events, including Street Fighter Japan Grand Finals. They're going to be showing off Alex there, and supposedly this version of Alex is different from the one that is going to get released with the balance patch. And I've been really wondering why that even is. Like, why would Capcom even bother to show us two different versions of Alex? Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but the phrasing is really odd. They really say that the Alex demo version will not include these adjustments, and these adjustments being the balance patch that is gonna be applied on March 17th. It really makes it sound like they have two different versions of Alex prepared for some reason, and the only reason I can think of why you would even need to do that is because if you show the balance patch version, it might actually include not just simple changes to the balancing of the character, but mechanical changes as well. At this point, I know I should probably not be so hopeful as to expect a major change to Street Fighter 6. I've been hoping for that for years at this point, so it's probably still unlikely to happen, especially because Capcom has traditionally updated the balance of the game after the release of the final season character for that year. and that has so far happened in May and June. So yeah, March seems unlikely, but then again, it would actually follow my recommendation that a major balance patch should happen right after Capcom Cup, because then we have enough time to prepare for the next season with the balance patch applied, and not have the balance patch applied mid-season when tournaments have already been established and people have already qualified for Capcom Cup with the old patch applied. By the way, Alex being released on March 17th actually means this is the first time we're seeing 50% of the season characters being released after the season has concluded. Like, we're currently in season 3, but 50% of the season 3 characters are released after Capcom Cup. Is actually kind of wild, especially if Capcom actually pulls this off and gives us this major balance patch that we're expecting once a year on March 17th. It really means that the season 4, like, that's what season 4 is going to be, right? So yeah, Alex and Ingrid will both be released effectively in Season 4. And even though technically the timeframes are still in line with the 2023 and 2024 releases, it just still feels wrong to buy a Season 3 character pass and then half the characters in that character pass are really released in Season 4. So yeah, I really hope Capcom will do something about that eventually. I mean, Street Fighter 6 has really been criticized a lot by myself and others over the past couple of months because of how the customer base is treated and how nothing really seems to line up properly. There seems to be a lot of chaos, at least from my perspective, but if we take a look at the actual sales, Capcom has released new data on that. It clearly shows Street Fighter 6 is in a great spot. I mean, if you just look at these numbers, you can clearly see Street Fighter 6 is dominating, currently sitting at around triple the sales of Street Fighter 5. So yeah, clearly this is a very successful product, and this is all the more confusing. Like, why is there so little updates to the game, no mechanical changes? I mean, you could argue maybe Capcom is just trying to play it safe because they have a good product, a popular product. It's not easy to do, by the way. I mean, if you take a look at a lot of competitors at the moment, nothing comes even close to the popularity of Street Fighter 6. So if you're gonna have major mechanical changes, that might actually be bad for, well, the product that you're trying to sell. And currently Street Fighter 6 is selling a lot, so there's no reason to change. Maybe that's what Capcom is thinking. I'm kind of hoping that's actually the main reason, because the other reasons that I've discussed in other videos before, like being the RE engine and having everything done internally and not having enough resources for all of the different big projects that Capcom has, I'm hoping that's not the reason, because that just means that even if Street Fighter performs well, even if there's a lot of support from the community, it just means that, okay, we can't expect them to put a lot of effort into a working product, because they simply have other products, well, to manage and worry about as well. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Is Capcom gonna give us a big balance patch on March 17th? Am I coping hard by believing and hoping mechanical changes will arrive with that patch? Will Alex feel great? I mean, so far, honestly, he's been looking great, at least from my perspective. I think he's going to be a BS character like he's always been, and I'm not going to be happy fighting Alex, but at least visually he looks good and interesting, and yeah, we'll see about that. Definitely let me know, what do you guys think of the balance patch situation? What should Capcom change? Any and all thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.